What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We are so happy that you decided to join us today. You know, for the last 2 weeks, we have been hyping up this live stream. We have been hyping up something special that was going to come here at the Gridiron Expert. And I can promise you that tonight will not disappoint. We are bringing you our own 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, NFL draft, if you will. And we're going to get started with that here in a second. But I wanted to kind of explain a few things on how this would work and what we're going to be doing over the course of the night, over the course of the next hour and a half or so. So first things first, this is a mock draft. This is where we believe the potential prospects, and keep in mind, we're doing a full first round mock draft, 32 picks tonight. But we're going to do this, and we're basing this off of team needs and where we believe these players should go. There's a lot of speculations out there. You've seen tons of analysts give out their mock drafts, their opinions. We're not necessarily saying this is where we think they're going to go, is where we believe the players should go. So keep that in mind as we progress through this mock draft tonight. Another thing, we did not incorporate any trades into this mock draft. Just for the sake of simplicity, we decided to keep it as the draft order is right now. Things could change between now and Thursday. Things certainly will trade on Thursday. We'll see tons of people trade up and down throughout the first round. But we did not incorporate any of that into our mock draft tonight. Again, just for the sake of simplicity. Now again, we've mentioned this for 2 weeks now. We've put a lot of work into this. Our producer Josh has done a phenomenal job helping put this together. And you're going to see what I'm talking about here in just a second. But again, Super Chat donations are on. They are always on. And every little bit helps. It helps our channel grow, and it helps us to continue to produce content very similar to what you're about to see tonight. Also, make sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. Comment throughout the night. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Whether you're watching it live right now or you're watching it later on tomorrow, subscribe to us because you're going to get content like this every single day, 24/7, 365, college football and the occasional NFL content year-round, guys. And the last thing, before we get started, I know we're all anxious. I'm anxious myself. If you follow us on Twitter, if you follow us on Instagram, we mentioned there's a potential giveaway tonight. You have to be around at the end of the stream to win, because if you win, you're not going to know. But we are giving away one of our very own Gridiron Expert sweatshirts. And a couple of you guys have already bought these. A couple of you guys, we have given some already in a couple of giveaways. And everybody I know loves them. I love mine. Josh loves his. So if you want to win your own Gridiron Expert sweatshirt tonight for free, no strings attached, guys, stick around to the end of the stream for your chance to win. Of course, it will be completely random, but we will be selecting a winner at the end of this mock draft. So all that being said, we've got a lot to cover tonight, so let's go ahead and jump right on into it. The 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft is now open, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. All right, welcome to the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a great night in store for you. We have so many great prospects lined up. We've got so many shocking picks lined up. Again, 1 through 32, the entire first round, the NFL draft will begin on Thursday night. And like we said, the number 1 overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars, are on the clock right now. And they are quite the anomaly going into this season, guys. We know that Urban Meyer, he stepped down at Ohio State, thought he was done coaching for a while, and now he decided to test his waters in the NFL ranks. He's brought a lot of his old assistant coaches from the college ranks with him down to Jacksonville. It's going to be very interesting to see if Meyer can succeed at this level, just like he has over the course of his entire collegiate career at Utah, at Florida, at Ohio State. Another question will be, of course, how long will he last down in Jacksonville? But it's obvious what the Jaguars need. A brand new head coach, a franchise that has struggled really since its inception. They need a quarterback. They need a face of the franchise. That is need number 1 for the Jaguars. And it looks like the pick is already in. I'm sure this is going to be no surprise to anyone. So, with the number 1 overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback from Clemson. And you take a look at the film, guys. Trevor Lawrence has the potential to possibly be the best NFL prospect we may have ever seen. This guy does it all. 6'6", 220 pounds. He's the ideal quarterback. He's got an unbelievable arm, and what amazes me more about Trevor Lawrence than anything is just his ball placement. He's got a great deep ball, but he puts the ball in a place where only his receiver can go and get it. Over 10,000 career passing yards with the Tigers, 90 touchdowns to just 17 interceptions. Won a national championship back in 2018. Also accumulated over 900 rushing yards with 18 rushing touchdowns. Again, all in just 3 seasons with Dabo Swinney and the Tigers. Again, you keep watching this film here, guys. The deep ball is truly unbelievable from Trevor Lawrence, and that's going to be something that Urban Meyer is certainly going to stress during his time down in Jacksonville. And you look at this. Is this finally going to be the guy we need? We've seen the Jaguars and plenty of these franchises that have struggled. We have seen them for so long draft quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, and none of them pan out. A lot of people believe that Trevor Lawrence is going to be different. A lot of people believe he is going to be the guy that, I'm not saying is going to bring them to the promised land, but is going to make Jacksonville relevant, more so than that one-hit wonder they had back in 2017 when they made the AFC Championship game. Listen to this, guys. The Jaguars have started 12 different quarterbacks. 12 different quarterbacks have started at least one game for the Jaguars since 2010. This team has made the playoffs just once, back in 2017, just once since 2008. Something has to change. A new head coach, a potential franchise quarterback. Lawrence is maybe the best player in this draft, and he's hoping to make shockwaves throughout the NFL in his first year down in Jacksonville. All right, moving on, we are on to the second pick. The Jets, New York, are on the clock, and they are in a very similar position to the Jaguars. They're in a very, very similar position to Jacksonville here. They are in desperate need of a quarterback, more so than ever since they decided to ship Sam Darnold off to Carolina. Keep in mind, they drafted Sam Darnold, 3 years ago? That franchise quarterback thing didn't really pan out there. Are they going to draft a quarterback here at number 2? And if they do, whoever it is, can they finally be the franchise quarterback? Again, with New York, they're very similar to Jacksonville in the sense of the amount of starting quarterbacks. 11 different quarterbacks have started a game since 2010 for New York. Again, Sam Darnold is gone. They need some help. So, again, I don't think this one is much of a surprise, although how he got here is quite a bit of a surprise. With the number 2 overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the New York Jets select Zach Wilson, quarterback, BYU. And you look at Zach Wilson, guys. One thing that impressed me more than anything is not, again, you can sit here and talk most of these quarterbacks, it's about their arm strength, and it's about, their dual threat ability, and Zach Wilson does have a little bit of that. To me, it's the accuracy. It's the fact that he completed 73.5% of his passes in 2020. Obviously, a year that BYU went 11-1 and kind of took the college football world by storm. Only loss, of course, coming on short notice on the road at Coastal Carolina. He threw for over 3,600 yards, 33 touchdowns, just 3 interceptions in this 11-1 season. And you talk about the accuracy again, 2020 was not a one-hit wonder for him. It wasn't this great magical season and that was it. He completed 67.6% of his passes in his 3-year career with the BYU Cougars. So it's the accuracy and the arm strength for me that stand out more than Sam Darnold. Maybe he doesn't have the typical quarterback build. Some people don't like him that much for that. But I tell you what, this guy's draft stock rose more than anybody's from the time that 2020 began to the time that April has come around. This guy was on no one's big board as being the second quarterback taken off when 2020 started. In this magical season that BYU had, and the more and more people looked at him, they said, hey, maybe he can be a franchise guy. I don't know if I'm completely sold on him on that. I don't know if I ever would have put him up there as number 2 in the entire draft. Not just number 2 quarterback, but the entire draft. But the Jets and new head coach Robert Saleh believe that he is the right man. It's going to be interesting to see if they can kind of make a run in what's becoming a very difficult AFC East now, with the Bills having made the AFC Championship, the Patriots, of course, always a threat with Bill Belichick, and the Miami Dolphins obviously on the rise as well. So now, the San Francisco 49ers are on the clock, and this is where things get interesting, guys. We all expect Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson to go 1-2. Easy money. If anything is different, we'll all be shocked. Number 3 is where things get very interesting. And Look, today we heard rumors and we heard news that the San Francisco 49ers are not, in fact, going to be taking Justin Fields. They said they will be going with either Mac Jones or Trey Lance. And the diss on Justin Fields, the decline in Justin Fields' draft stock continues to surprise me. But we know that head coach Kyle Shanahan is going to go after a quarterback. He likes all 5 of them, but you can only take one. Jimmy Garoppolo, his future remains unknown, but this is a team that is still in prime Super Bowl contention. They're just 2 years removed from a Super Bowl appearance. They want their new face of the franchise. They don't expect to rebuild. They expect to immediately contend. And so, again, keep in mind that we are not basing this draft off of where we believe these players will go, it's where we believe they should go. With the number 3 overall pick in the Gridiron Expert mock draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Justin Fields, quarterback, Ohio State. Now again, I know, the news came out today that said they're not going to take him. It just baffles me. Justin Fields should be the 3rd quarterback taken off the board. He should be going to San Francisco. Yes, I now believe that Mac Jones will be going there. If you want me to make a prediction, Mac Jones will be going there. But look at how great Justin Fields is. His downward trend makes no sense. Amazing dual threat ability, amazing pocket awareness, and the job that he did at Ohio State was unreal. Over 5,300 yards, 63 touchdowns, just 9 interceptions, completed 70.2% of his passes in 2020. And again, you look at this film right here, this is what really impresses me the most. His ability to avoid the sack, obviously that pocket awareness, escape the pocket, and that's what makes Justin Fields so special, is his ability to extend plays. The game against Clemson in the Sugar Bowl, he gets a big pop in the ribs. Everybody wondered if he'd come back. That was toughness out of Justin Fields, and not only after that pop in the ribs where everybody thought he was done, did he keep playing, but he kept slinging deep balls like that. On the money, that gave Ohio State a blowout victory over the Tigers and sent them to the national championship against Alabama. This guy is tough, he is accurate, he is mobile, and it makes no sense to me why Justin Fields continues to trend down everybody's draft board. Yes, we know that the 49ers will not select him on Thursday. We know it will be Mac Jones or Trey Lance, and I do believe it will be Mac Jones. But for us, we believe it should be Justin Fields. The Atlanta Falcons are now on the clock with the 4th overall pick. And this is, again, an area where things could get interesting in the sense that Atlanta could easily trade back. The Falcons could decide to trade down in this draft, giving an opportunity to someone like the Miami Dolphins, who, yes, own the 6th pick, but maybe just want to get up there a little bit higher. The Denver Broncos, perhaps. The New England Patriots. Who knows? But we don't believe the Falcons are going to trade back right now. You look at what they're doing, this is still a team that is in a very tough division, but it's still a playoff caliber team. They are still a playoff caliber team. Matt Ryan is on up there in years, and that begs the question, will the Falcons draft a quarterback? Will they draft Matt Ryan's successor? He maybe has 2 or 3 good years left in him, maybe 2 or 3 years left, period. And if they draft a quarterback, who will they go with? Will it be, at least in our mock draft, Trey Lance or Mac Jones? Or will they avoid it altogether? Again, this is still a team that has a lot of talent. Julio Jones is there. Todd Gurley is there. The defense is coming together, and they are under new management as well. Brand new head coach. These guys aren't looking to rebuild. They want to contend immediately, especially with the talent that they have. And so the pick is in for the Atlanta Falcons. With the 4th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Kyle Pitts, tight end, Florida. And guys, this is probably the pick of the draft right here. Outside of Trevor Lawrence, Kyle Pitts is maybe the best prospect in the draft. He's an absolute freak of nature. Just watch this film right here. He's a tight end, classifies as a tight end, plays his game like a wide receiver. He's 6'6". He goes up for every ball. Reminds me very much of Rob Gronkowski, but he's much more versatile and agile than Rob Gronkowski. Much more so than that. He'll go up between 2 defenders. He's always going to come down with the ball. 770 yards and 12 touchdowns last year for one of the best offenses in the country. Of course, the Florida Gators. And again, why go Kyle Pitts here? Why not go quarterback? Because I firmly believe that Matt Ryan has 2 or 3 years left in him. The fact and the thought of Julio Jones and Kyle Pitts lining up together with this Atlanta Falcons offense scares the heck out of me. And I know it would scare everybody else in the NFC South as well. It gives them the extra element offensively. And right there, again, against Georgia, Kyle Pitts going up for those deep balls. And again, with a quarterback like Matt Ryan that has guys like Julio Jones, who for years now has gone up very similar to Kyle Pitts for balls like this, could make Atlanta one of the most electric and dangerous offenses in the country if they play their cards right. The Falcons may, in fact, trade back on Thursday night, but Kyle Pitts at that moment in time will be the best player available, and I just can't see them passing up on that opportunity. I just can't see it. Moving on to number 5. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock. Another interesting proposition here for you. We know that Joe Burrow was selected as the number 1 pick last year by the Bengals. They didn't have a too hot of a year last year, but we saw a lot of promise from Joe Burrow before he went down with his torn ACL, before he got injured. And obviously that was devastating. Everybody was rooting for him. Everybody wanted him to do well. And obviously he's going to come back and try to get the Bengals, not even to a playoff berth. Obviously that'd be great, but just to relevancy. I mean, this is a team that's been struggling. 2 wins, 3 wins, 4 wins. This is not a Bengals team. I'm sure they were wishing they had Marvin Lewis right now. I'm telling you. I mean, Marvin Lewis, never won a playoff game, but at least he was getting them to the playoffs. But the question now is, do the Bengals go offensive line? Do they go offensive tackle? Or do they go for a wide receiver? Because the idea of pairing Joe Burrow with his old college teammate Jamar Chase is very, very appealing. So do you protect Joe Burrow or do you give him weapons? That's the million-dollar question, and that is what the Bengals are faced with on Thursday night. We're going to give you our answer right now. The pick is in. With the 5th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Penei Sewell, offensive tackle, Oregon. And guys, if you're looking for the best offensive line prospect in the draft, maybe one of the best offensive line prospects in history, it's Penei Sewell right here. And we're going to see a couple bits of film, number 58 right there on your screen, and we're going to highlight him a few times, of what this guy is capable of and what he did for this Oregon Ducks program. I mean, the guy is very much like Kyle Pitts, an absolute freak of nature. And again, the appeal of protecting Joe Burrow is the main reason that we have to go with Sewell here and not Jamar Chase. Sewell did not play in 2020, but again, this is a guy that is fast. He gets to the second level very quickly. He protects his quarterback extremely well. There's nothing this guy can't do, and I love this bit of film right here. Gets the tackle immediately, or gets the block immediately, comes back, and helps buy time for his quarterback. This guy is selfless. He's aggressive. He's huge. He's everything you need in an NFL offensive lineman, and his run blocking is by far one of the best in the college game and one of the best in this NFL draft. Again, right there on the left side of your screen, 58, buying time for Justin Herbert now with the Chargers. Rarely got to lay a finger on him. Rarely let anyone touch his quarterback. And that's exactly what the Bengals need for Joe Burrow. Not to mention the Bengals have had one of the worst offensive lines over these last few seasons. So while the appeal of getting a wide receiver is there, I understand it. They need some help. There are plenty of other wide receivers and weapons that the Bengals can draft in the second round and the third round. There's not an offensive line prospect like this that the Bengals can touch later on. And that's why they have to go after Penei with the number 5 pick. They have to go with him in the first round. There's really no other way around it. Because if Joe Burrow continues to go down, if Joe Burrow continues to get hit, his career is going to end much earlier than anyone would like. And that would be a dang shame. With the 6th pick, we move on to the Miami Dolphins. This is a team that at one point in time had the 3rd overall pick, traded down. They helped out the 49ers there. They're down to number 6, and the Dolphins actually have a pick later on in this draft. I believe they're down all the way at number 18. But the Dolphins have quite a bit of questions to ask themselves. Do they want to draft a wide receiver? They have their quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa, so they want to go wide receiver. Do they want to go running back? Do they want to go defense? And if they go defense, they've got to get some guys within that front 7. So Brian Flores has a lot of options here for the Dolphins, and he's lucky that he has 2 picks within the top 20. A lot of appeal here, a lot of speculation on where the Dolphins might go. We're here to give you another answer for it, and I think it might surprise you a little bit. So with the 6th pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Devontae Smith, wide receiver, Alabama. Why not? The appeal of reuniting Devontae Smith with Tua Tagovailoa is too much here. A lot of people are saying that you should go with Jamar Chase. Put Jamar Chase up at 6. Devontae Smith continues to slide people's draft boards because they say he's too small, he's too skinny, he's too light. You're going to tell me that the 2020 Heisman winner is too small, too skinny, too light? Look at that catch right now, right there. Tell me a man that can go out there and make a catch like that. 117 receptions, 1,856 yards, 23 touchdowns, all in 2020 alone. And he's doing that against an all-SEC schedule. And then, of course, the college football playoff where he took down Notre Dame and took down Ohio State in the national championship game. Not only is he such an electric receiver, can take a bubble screen, turn it 50 yards to the house, great in the deep ball, he's great in the special teams as well. This punt return here against Arkansas late in the first quarter. Razorbacks didn't do great filling their lane, but Devontae Smith showed again he's so versatile, can play any position. Obviously, as a wide receiver, can go and make an impact at the special teams. And then, of course, right here, can take any short little dump pass and turning it into something special. The speed is unbelievable. I don't care if he's 6 feet tall. I don't care if he's 166 pounds. This guy is worthy of a top 10 pick. And pairing him with his old college quarterback, they're already going to have chemistry. They don't even have to build something there. I think he's going to be an electric, an amazing NFL wide receiver. Don't judge someone by their size. Don't do that because Devontae Smith is going to make you pay for it. So Miami, don't pass up this opportunity. Now, obviously, people are saying Jamar Chase should go to Miami. If Jamar Chase is chosen 5th overall by the Bengals, Devontae Smith will even be more of a valued option here. They are kind of torn between the two, but I think that Smith has to be the go-to just because of the Tua connection. And again, what he did in 2020 wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a fluke, and he'll be just fine at this next level. The Detroit Lions are up next, number 7 overall in the draft. The pick is in. We'll get to them in a second. They're under new management with their head coach, Dan Campbell, a guy who's going to go out and break some kneecaps or something like that. But this is a team, guys, that needs help big time. They had a pretty big blockbuster trade not too long ago, shipping Matthew Stafford out to L.A. for the Rams in exchange for Jared Goff. So they have a capable quarterback. That's not what the Lions need. What they really need is some wide receiver help. Who's their best right now? Quintez Cephas? He's not going to cut it. He's not going to be your franchise wide receiver. They need to give Jared Goff some options. They need some big-time options. There also is the possibility, guys, that the Lions could drop back. The Lions could trade down. And the biggest rumor that we're hearing is that the Patriots at number 15 might trade all the way up to number 7 to get themselves the quarterback that they want. But we don't believe the Lions will do that right now. Again, we don't believe anybody's going to trade in this mock draft for the sake of simplicity. But the Lions pick is in. And we know who they're going to draft. We know they're going to draft a wide receiver. The question is, which one will it be? So with the 7th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Detroit Lions select Jamar Chase, wide receiver, LSU. And again, many would say he's better than Devontae Smith when you're looking at it from a pro perspective. When you're looking at how someone might succeed at the next level, Jamar Chase may be over Devontae Smith. I don't have a problem with either. Chase has that breakaway speed, as you're seeing here in the film against Vanderbilt. This is a 2019 Biletnikoff winner. He sat out of the 2020 season, had 84 catches for over 1,700 yards and 20 touchdowns in that national championship season with the LSU Tigers. But this is a guy that can go up for any ball. 50-50 balls are most likely going to be won by Jamar Chase. I agree that his build and size is a little bit better than Devontae Smith's, but I think he's going to be the perfect fit for Jared Goff and this Detroit Lions offense. Yes, he's going to be young. Yes, it's going to take some time, but that breakaway speed that shrinks to break the tackles, the ability to take a slant to the house or to be a deep ball threat is exactly what Jared Goff needs, and it's something that Goff really never really had during his time with the Rams, outside of maybe, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. This is a guy that can be a legitimate threat and a legitimate main target for Jared Goff and a Lions offense that needs a significant boost. As you can see there, lighting it up in that national championship game against Clemson just a few years ago. It was a shame we did not get to see him play in this 2020 season. So Jamar Chase off to Detroit, hoping to provide that spark that Detroit needs and becoming that number 1 target for Jared Goff in a very, very, I'd say, depleted wide receiver core. The Carolina Panthers are now on the clock, and this is another team that could very well trade back. There's a lot of teams later on in the top 10 and certainly within the top 15 that are debating on dropping back or are going to pull back and move on. Carolina is one of them. Because what do they need? What do they need? We're not really sure. They just got a brand new quarterback in Sam Darnold all the way over from New York. Offensive line's a little bit sketchy, could be a need there. Christian McCaffrey is their go-to playmaker if he can stay healthy. They have a handful of wide receivers that can make plays. So Carolina's mostly in the market for an offensive lineman or maybe someone within that front seven defensively. And we know how much Matt Rule loves to build up the defense. We saw how great he did that at Baylor during his 3-4 years there. And we saw how well that it was getting there with Carolina. I think it was a team that really exceeded expectations in 2020. The pick is in for the Panthers. We do not have them trading back, as a matter of fact. So with the 8th pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle, Northwestern. And I really like the film that we have on Slater here. He did not play in 2020, but if you watch him here against Ohio State, a very bad year for Northwestern, but watch him here against Ohio State in 2019 working on Chase Young. Every bit of film here, he is working on Chase Young at the left side of your, or top of your screen there on the left side of the line, working on Chase Young, who was an absolute force last year in his rookie season in the NFL. Sure, Northwestern got murdered in this game, but Chase Young did absolutely nothing. And if that can't tell you what Rashawn Slater is capable of at this next level, I really don't know what will. He's 6'4", 310 pounds. He can play anywhere on the line. Yes, he's an offensive tackle, but you can move him to guard. He'll play just fine there. He's dominating NFL talent, obviously in the college ranks. There's no doubt in my mind he can continue to succeed at the next level. And you continue to watch him here. Yes, all these highlights are god-awful. Incomplete passes, sacks, but at least it's not Slater that's giving up these sacks. He's going to give the Carolina Panthers a significant boost because they need to protect Sam Darnold first and foremost, but they need to try to create holes and create lanes for Christian McCaffrey. He's a guy that's battled so many injuries over the course of his career. We want him to stay healthy. We want him to succeed because he is the Panthers' offense. And giving him some extra protection, some extra downfield blocking, might just be what the doctor ordered, might just be what Matt Rule and the Panthers needed to, again, take that next step forward because they were not a bad team in 2020. They exceeded expectations in his first year. Maybe having a capable quarterback and a line to protect him could be that next step in contending a little bit more in the NFC South. Again, what I think is quickly becoming one of the most difficult divisions in the NFL with the likes of the reigning champions in the Buccaneers, the Saints, and the Falcons. The Denver Broncos are now on the clock, and this is a team that I'm really, really anxious to see what they do on draft night. What will they do on Thursday? Because rumor has it that they're not too happy with Drew Lock. Are they in the market for a quarterback? A lot of people say, we'll suffer through Drew Lock for one more year, give him one more chance, maybe I should say, and we're going to go after a linebacker. So what will John Elway and the Broncos do on Thursday? Because I'm going to be quite honest with you. I don't know if Drew Lock is cutting it. I don't know if Drew Lock is the guy to contend in the AFC West against the likes of Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and dare I say Derek Carr. Is he going to be the guy to get the Broncos to the playoffs and win a division, win a playoff game? Not so sure he can do that. So they draft a quarterback or they bulk up a defense that has really kind of seen itself deteriorate since that fantastic defense that we saw win the Super Bowl, now 5 years ago, back in Super Bowl 50? That's the question they have to ask themselves. We continue to ask all these questions, and you know we're going to provide you with answers. With the 9th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Denver Broncos select Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State, the Bison. How about that? Now, I know a lot of people might think this is a crazy pick. No way he goes to Denver. No way he deserves to be in the top 10. I'm here to tell you, you're wrong. Trey Lance is an absolute beast. It doesn't matter where you go to school, it doesn't matter where he went to school, but it does help that you go to North Dakota State, one of the greatest dynasties, not just in the FCS, but in all of football history. Trey Lance, to me, is very similar to Justin Fields in terms of his size, his build, and just his skill set, period. He's 6'4", and in his lone season with the Bison threw for over 2,700 yards, 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. You watch him on the film here, he has an electric ability to not just hit him on the deep ball. His accuracy is ridiculous. His deep ball is ridiculous. But it's his dual threat ability that really sets him apart. Look at that, trucking a defender there, getting into the end zone to put the Bison ahead for good late in the fourth quarter. It's his dual threat ability to me that really football league. A lot of people aren't sold on him. I don't know why. But when you look at the numbers, on top of the fact that he also rushed for over 1,100 yards and 14 touchdowns during his lone season with the Bison, this guy's an absolute steal. Whoever drafts Trey Lance is going to get an absolute winner. He's perfect for the RPO-style offense. He's perfect to really groom and breed, whether you want to start him immediately or let him learn behind a seasoned veteran. Trey Lance is the future of an NFL franchise. I have no doubt about that in my mind. Another highlight here, where he steps up in the pocket, is able to make something out of nothing. Looked like he should have been sacked, looked like it should have been a 5-yard gain, strolls into the end zone. And that's something that, again, we broke down earlier in Justin Fields' film, was the fact that he has great pocket awareness and can sense when it's starting to collapse. And when it does, he escapes. And most quarterbacks now, they escape and they just throw it away. Or they escape and they slide. Trey Lance, Justin Fields, guys like that are going to make something out of nothing. They're going to take what should be a 5-yard loss, turn it into a 5-yard gain. Might not be anything special, but any positive is better than a negative. And Trey Lance is going to be that guy. Rounding out the top 10, and I unfortunately would like to say rounding out the highlight portion of our NFL mock draft. We only could do so much, unfortunately. We'll whip through 11 through 32 a little bit quicker. But rounding out the top 10, we have the Dallas Cowboys, who by far had one of the worst defenses in the NFL in 2020. So there is no doubt in my mind that that is where Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy, where their focus is going to be on draft night. They have to find a way to improve the defense. And we know, say what you want, that Dallas would have won the division, would have been a lot better had Dak Prescott not gotten hurt. You're probably right, but this team fell apart when Prescott got hurt. They had a seasoned veteran, Andy Dalton, under center. I don't really think he was that much of the problem. He wasn't great, but it was the defense that was the Cowboys' downfall, and it was the defense was the reason why Dallas could not win one of the worst divisions, not just in the NFL last year, but in NFL history, the NFC East. The Cowboys need help defensively. Who are they going to take? With the 10th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Patrick Surtain II, cornerback, Alabama. This is the pick, guys. This is the top-ranked cornerback on many people's draft boards, although many would say that he should be below the likes of J.C. Horn, maybe even Caleb Farley. But Patrick Surtain II is an absolute different breed. Unanimous All-American, SEC Defensive Player of the Year in 2020. Had 37 tackles, 3.5 for a loss, an interception that you just saw earlier, 9 passes deflected. What amazes me more about Surtain than anything, it's not his ability to cover balls, it's not his ability to go out there and play great defense, it's his ability for open field tackles like you just saw right there against Auburn and like you just saw right there against Tennessee. You don't see many players that have great fundamentals like Surtain does. His open field tackles that he has right there again in the college football playoff against Notre Dame is what to me sets him apart from many other defensive backs and many quarterbacks. And right here you see him shooting the gap on a corner blitz, pressuring Kellen Mond, another potential draft pick in this year's draft, forcing an errant throw in a game that Alabama easily dominated. This is a guy that, again, is the future of the Dallas Cowboys secondary, and you're going to pair him back there with another Alabama star, Trayvon Diggs, who made a name for himself last year with the Cowboys. So you put Surtain back there, you put Diggs back there. You've got two very young cornerbacks that can play for the Cowboys for a long, long time and provide that instant boost for one of the worst defenses and one of the worst passing defenses in the NFL in 2020. To me, this is a no-brainer. If I had to give you a lock right now, outside the likes of Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson, Surtain at 10 for the Cowboys is a lock. I don't see how they could do anything else unless he is taken off the board earlier or unless the Cowboys get an offer they cannot refuse, either through a trade or maybe someone like Kyle Pitts falling all the way down there where they just say, hey, we know what we need, but we've got to take this once-in-a-generation talent. We have to take what's best available. It's the only way I can see them passing up on Surtain. He fits too perfectly into the Cowboys system. So, guys, that is our top 10. But we're not done. We still have picks 11 through 32. We're just not going to have highlights for all of these players. I know, honestly, that was pretty dang cool. We've never really done something like that before. But we hope you enjoyed that part. Before we continue, again, I want to thank everybody so far that has already donated through the Super Chat, whether it was $1, $5, $10. We want to thank you all so much. Stuff like that fuels us and allows us to create content like this, something that we've never ever done before and something that I hope has certainly lived up to the hype for you guys. So the Super Chat donators, those that have already gone and those that are yet to come, we want to thank you again so much. Every little bit is thrown right back into this channel and means the world to us. It helps us out so much. Also, if you have not already, make sure to hit that like button. Go hit that like button. Help us out. It boosts our analytics. It helps more people find our channel. And also make sure to continue to comment and subscribe if you have not already. I'm sure many of you are already valued members of the Gridiron Nation, the Gridiron team. But if you're not, join us. We're always looking for new members, always looking to continue to grow the nation. And we cannot, again, thank all of you enough for your support. And again, before we continue, 11 through 32, we are doing our special giveaway. Again, at the end of the stream, right here, you can win your own, let's a little higher, your very own Gridiron Expert sweatshirt. No strings attached, for free. You can win it. It's a giveaway. We've got our producer Josh over here who, by the way, give him a round of applause in the chat if you haven't already. He is the guy that was the brains behind this, created this scene right here. The graphics, the highlights, everything. He worked his butt off for over a week now on creating this. So give him a round of applause. Again, we can't thank Josh enough. None of this is possible without him. But when the stream is over, as we near an end, he is going to be drawing a name. We're doing it. Believe it or not, he's got his beanie ready. It's filled with names already. He's going to draw a name, and the winner will get the Gridiron Expert sweatshirt. So stick around. You have to be present at the end to win. So again, thank you all so much. Let's keep talking football. I don't even know what time it is. I'm having too great of a time, though. All right. What is the time?
8:37.
Woo! 37 minutes for 10 picks. We'll whip through these then. We'll have to go a little quicker. We'll be here all night. All right. Number 11, the New York Giants. You look at a bunch of mock drafts out there, what are they telling you? They're saying they should get a wide receiver to help out Daniel Jones. They're saying they should get an offensive lineman to protect Daniel Jones. But they're also saying that maybe, just maybe, they should go for an edge rusher, someone along that defensive line that can create a little more pressure than they already have. What are the Giants going to do? They're always quite the anomaly when it comes to the NFL draft. When it comes to draft day, you don't know what Gettleman's going to do. But we're going to tell you what we think they're going to do and what they should do for that matter. With the 11th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the New York Giants select Kwity Paye, defensive end, Michigan. This is a pure edge rusher, guys, a guy that, without a doubt, is probably the best edge rusher in this draft. Listen to these numbers right here. 99 tackles in his 4-year career with the Wolverines. I know what you're going to say. 99 tackles in 4 years? That's nothing. That is nothing. People do that in a season. You're wrong, though. 11.5 sacks. 11.5 sacks in his career, 6.5 of those coming in 2019. Paye is without a doubt the best edge rusher, in my opinion, in this NFL draft. So yes, maybe the Giants need some more help offensively, but they definitely need some help along the edge. This guy is too good to pass up. And you definitely don't want to pass him up when you've got some of your interdivision rivals drafting below you that could very well get a talent like this and make life, dare I say, a living hell for Daniel Jones. All right. The Philadelphia Eagles are now on the clock, as we have gone back and forth a few times on that. But the Philadelphia Eagles are now on the clock, and a lot of people know what they're going to do here. They are in desperate need of a wide receiver. There's no doubt about it. They kind of jumped shit with Carson Wentz. They said, hey, thanks for the memories, thanks for the effort, but it's time for you to go because you can't stay healthy. Maybe that's Carson Wentz's fault. Maybe it's the poor offensive line fault. I don't know. But they are going to ride Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is now the new man in Philadelphia, so you don't have to worry about the Eagles drafting a quarterback here. They're going to be drafting weapons for Jalen Hurts for a very depleted wide receiver core that, with the exception of Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, and Travis Fulgham, really has nobody. And those three right there don't really scare me at all if I'm the Cowboys, the Giants, or the Washington football team. I'm not worried about any of them. If I'm the NFL and I'm facing the Eagles, my cornerbacks are going to have a field day. They need help. So with the 12th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Waddle, wide receiver, Alabama. So very similar to the scenarios we saw in the top 10, you're going to see Waddle get paired with one of his former quarterbacks. Waddle, of course, playing with Jalen Hurts very briefly, but playing with Hurts during his time at Alabama. And, this guy's draft stock, guys, I think Waddle could be a top 10 pick had he not gotten injured in 2020. If he doesn't break his ankle against Tennessee, he is very well a top 10 pick. So I think people are a little hesitant on that. We didn't get to see as much of him in 2020 as we would have liked. But in 2019, he put up some big-time numbers, and those really contributed to his overall career numbers. I'm going to say 1,999 receiving yards in his career. Was one away from 2,000 receiving yards. 1999, 17 touchdowns. Also had 3 special teams touchdowns. So in addition to like Devontae Smith, yeah, he's a great wide receiver. He's got insane breakaway speed, ran a 4.37 40. He can also do it on the special teams as well. And that is absolutely what scouts and teams are looking for. It's how versatile can you be? If we put you somewhere where you're not necessarily used to playing, can you do it? Waddle absolutely can. He's going to be very soon, I think, Jalen Hurts' top receiver, his go-to receiver, because they need all the help they can get on that wide receiver core. All right. The Los Angeles Chargers are now on the clock with the 13th pick. And this is another team where you could see them going either way here, guys. This is another team where you don't really know where they're going to go. Offensive line, cornerback. They've got a great quarterback of the future in Justin Herbert. And the Chargers were a team last year that exceeded expectations and could have exceeded them even more had they been able to win the close games. Why were they unable to win the close games? I'm going to blame the defense. Justin Herbert gets them down there. They get a late lead. They do everything that he can, and the defense allows the opposing team to march down there and get a game-winning field goal or a game-winning touchdown in the final minutes, the final seconds, maybe even in overtime. So they need a boost there. A lot of people think that the Chargers should go offensive line. We don't think that's the case. We think they're going defense. I believe they should go defense. So with the 13th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select J.C. Horn, cornerback, South Carolina. And again, they could go offensive line here, but why would you? Why go offensive line when you've got Patrick Mahomes in your division and you're going to play him twice? You need all the help you can get in your secondary, and Horn is without a doubt one of the top cornerbacks in this draft. A lot of people like Surtain above him. A lot of people love Caleb Farley above him. Keep in mind we haven't even mentioned Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech yet. Will he even be drafted in the first round? That remains to be seen. But Horn is a great talent. 6'1", 205 pounds, had a great breakout game against Auburn back in 2020 or back this last season. And again, when you look at his career numbers, you're going to say, all right, he only had 2 interceptions in 3 years. Both of those came in 2020. He had 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 23 passes deflected and defended. Those aren't that impressive, but they are. He's a shutdown corner. He's a shutdown corner. People didn't want to throw his way. I don't care if people aren't putting up a lot of interceptions. Really, I don't care. If they only have 1 or 2, that doesn't mean much. Those are misleading numbers. Horn is a lockdown corner. That's something that the Chargers desperately need and something they're going to need if they want to play in the AFC West. The Minnesota Vikings are now on the clock. They've been on the clock for a little while as I give my spiel about J.C. Horn. Pick's already in for them, so good for the Vikings and Mike Zimmer. And you never know really what the Vikings are going to do with Mike Zimmer. You can have a list of needs for them, and he is going to go the complete opposite direction. We need a wide receiver. Oh, we do? Well, I'm going to go cornerback. We need a quarterback. Really? We need a quarterback? I'm going to go wide receiver. Well, that makes sense. You don't know what Mike Zimmer is going to do. He's a very interesting guy. He's very unpredictable. And so a lot of people believe that the Vikings might go cornerback because we know how Mike Zimmer loves his cornerbacks. We know he loves that. We know they might go offensive line. They've got a great running back right now in Dalvin Cook. So there's a possibility they might do that to bulk that up and obviously protect him and keep him healthy because he did struggle quite a bit last year, got injured. But we don't believe they do any of that. We believe they go a little bit different here with another generational talent, if you ask me. With the 14th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Jalen Phillips, defensive end, Miami. Edge rusher, defensive end, however you want to phrase it. This guy's going to get after the quarterback. He's going to get after him with a vengeance. This guy is absolutely ridiculous. He's one of the better edge rushers in this entire draft, guys. I still rank Kwity Paye above him, but a guy like Jalen Phillips, his teammate Gregory Rousseau, and many others that we have yet to mention, maybe tonight, maybe in the second round, are guys that are going to make immediate impacts on their teams and on their defenses. But you look at Jalen Phillips. Had 8 sacks last year with an interception. He's 6'5", 266 pounds. And the thing that's scary about this guy is, yeah, we know he's going to get after the quarterback, but for his size, for his height, for his weight, he is extremely fast. He is extremely, extremely fast. And that's the scary thing about Jalen Phillips. And that's something that you're going to need. They were in a tough division now, guys. And the Chicago Bears don't really have much of a quarterback that anybody fears, but the Lions now have Jared Goff. The Packers obviously now have Aaron Rodgers. You've got to have guys to pressure these quarterbacks. The Vikings can do just that with the line they already have, plus now Jalen Phillips. Moving on to 15th. We're almost halfway through the first round. Can you believe it? It's almost been, an hour almost. But 15th pick in the draft, we've got the New England Patriots. And this may be the biggest storyline of this draft. This might be the team that's the biggest storyline of the draft. Because the New England Patriots missed out on the playoffs for the first time since 2008 last year. Can you believe that? The only reason they missed out in 2008 was because Tom Brady tore his ACL in the season opener, and the Patriots still went 11-5 that year. Just failed to win the division and ultimately missed out. It was actually a pretty good year for the NFL. They missed out in the playoffs last year. Cam Newton didn't get the job done, but he wasn't playing that bad until he got COVID. That really was kind of what derailed the Patriots season. So the Patriots made a bunch of offseason acquisitions, guys. They went out there and they got big-time players. Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, guys like that to bulk up the offense, and a couple big defensive stars, which we know Bill Belichick is a brilliant defensive mind. The question is, do the Patriots, first off, will they trade up on draft day? Most likely, yes. It would be a shock to see the Patriots stay stagnant at 15th. They might trade with the Lions or the Panthers or the Cowboys, someone like that, to get to 10 and get their quarterback. And as you already can probably figure out, there's one quarterback left out of the top 5. So, with the 15th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the New England Patriots select Mac Jones, quarterback, Alabama. Now again, guys, I know, if you've heard the rumors, Mac Jones more than likely will go to San Francisco, the 49ers, with a 3rd overall pick on Thursday. The 49ers have made it very clear they are not going to go after Justin Fields. They're going to go after Jones or Trey Lance. And we believe they will take Jones, if that is in fact the case. So you might see an old switcheroo here when it comes to our mock draft. Because if Justin Fields isn't selected at 3rd, he's going to continue to slip down these draft boards. The Patriots are in desperate need of a quarterback. By that point, it will be between Trey Lance and Justin Fields. And I wholeheartedly believe that Bill Belichick and the Patriots will go after Justin Fields. But in the sake of our mock draft, we don't believe that should have happened. We believe that Mac Jones is a better fit for the Patriots. We believe Justin Fields is a better fit for the 49ers. And when you look at Mac Jones, whoever gets him, they're going to be getting a winner. The biggest number that stands out to me on all my note cards right here, the biggest number that stands out to me is the fact that Mac Jones completed 77.4% of his passes in 2020. And yes, it helps when you have a Heisman-winning wide receiver on your team in Devontae Smith. Helps when you have Jalen Waddle for a limited time. It helps when you have Najee Harris, a great running back there. But still, throwing for 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions in 1 year in replacement of Tua Tagovailoa, and then going on to win the national championship on top of that in dominating fashion, that's not a fluke, guys. It's not a fluke. He might not have the most athletic build, but Mac Jones is a clear-cut winner. And he's a guy that I think, yeah, he might be the last rated quarterback out of the 5 that are going to get picked in the first round, but dare I say he might wind up being the best. Whoever gets Mac Jones is getting a winner, and I believe the Patriots should get him, although they probably will not on Thursday night. The Arizona Cardinals are now on the clock, and unlike New England, they are not in a quarterback bind. They have a great offensive mastermind in Cliff Kingsbury as their head coach. They've got a great quarterback in Kyler Murray, wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins, just added James Conner, the running back over from Pittsburgh. The offense is clicking, guys, which means that Cliff Kingsbury might have to slow down and say, man, there's so much offensive talent left on this board. As much as I want to go after them, I need to stop and bulk up my defense, especially with the loss of Patrick Peterson, who has now joined the Minnesota Vikings. Another reason maybe Mike Zimmer might not take a cornerback with that 14th overall pick. But the Cardinals need to continue to bulk up their defense. It's part of the reason they failed to make the playoffs this last year. They were looking like prime playoff contenders. The offense is getting the job done, but the defense has to do it too. It's a full 60 minutes. It's a full team effort. And they're going to draft a pure winner here, but a guy that a lot of people are afraid to take a chance on. With the 16th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Caleb Farley, cornerback, Virginia Tech. So I put a little sneaky on you there. You heard me talking about Patrick Surtain and J.C. Horn, and we said, well, where's Caleb Farley? Will we even hear his name? We knew he was coming. 16th to the Arizona Cardinals. And again, you look at these numbers, guys, for Caleb Farley, not bad. In 2 seasons with the Hokies, 19 passes defended, 6 interceptions, returned 1 of them for a touchdown. This guy's an absolute ball hawk. If you throw his way, you're probably not getting a completion. You have a better chance of it getting intercepted, in my opinion, than you have of completing the pass to your receiver. The reason so many people are hesitant on taking Caleb Farley, though, is the fact that he had back surgery or a back procedure done in March. So we're probably about less than a month out from when he had his surgery. That is a bit of a concern, but I do believe he's going to fully recover. When this guy is fully healthy, he's very, very dangerous. Teams knew he was going to do this. He needed to have this procedure done to play at this next level. Someone's got to take a chance on him. Why not the Cardinals, who need to replace a cornerback? Peterson was getting old. Replace him with a guy who's a little bit young. It could be, dare I say, better than Patrick Peterson. Farley did not play in 2020. That's not going to slow him down or hurt him any way at all when he played for the Cardinals in 2021. The Las Vegas Raiders are on the clock with the 17th overall pick. And guys, it's funny to me that 16 and 17 are very similar when it comes to their coaching. You have Cliff Kingsbury and John Gruden, both brilliant offensive minds, and sometimes they have to kind of take a step back and say, man, I would love to draft an offensive player, skill player, running back, or a wide receiver, or a tight end, someone that's going to be great. We saw Gruden surprise a lot of people last year by selecting Henry Ruggs as early as he did. But sometimes you have to sit back and say, hey, maybe we should bulk up in the trenches. Maybe we should bulk up on defense. You know, you can't always go after the flashiest and the speediest and the most electric players out there. Sometimes you have to look at the entire body of work here, and that's what the Raiders have to do, again, if they want to contend in the AFC West. The Raiders are close, guys. They are very, very close for breaking through and getting to the playoffs, which right now I think is what Raider Nation wants. Gruden was not brought here to have fun and just to reminisce on the olden days, the 90s and the early 2000s. That's not what he was brought here to do. He was brought to get to the playoffs. Fans are getting a little impatient. 2021, it feels like a make or break year. And they need a little bit of help up in the trenches. And we're going to tell you where. With the 17th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle, Virginia Tech. So that's 2 Virginia Tech players in a row that are going to go pro. They're going to get their debut. Caleb Farley off to Arizona. We've got Darrisaw heading out to Las Vegas. So both heading out west. But Darrisaw is the ideal offensive lineman in the NFL. 6'5", 314 pounds, was first team All-ACC. He's extremely fast, again, for his size, and he's very flexible. He's very, very flexible, and that's what they need more than anything here out in Las Vegas. The only downside that I have to Darrisaw is his, not inability, but on occasion lack to finish plays. Got to play until the whistle. You get one good block on a guy, you get him down on the ground, you don't turn your back and walk away. You've got to finish the play. You've got to see it through. That's the only thing that Darrisaw really needs to work on, and I can guarantee you John Gruden will whip that into shape very, very quickly. So Darrisaw out to Las Vegas. Also a great replacement for Trent Brown. They needed help along that offensive line. Trent Brown back out to New England. Gruden recognized that. The Raiders are going to select Darrisaw with the 17th overall pick. The Miami Dolphins are back up. They had the 6th overall pick earlier in our draft. Now, as you can see across the bottom, you see that ticker there. We saw that Devontae Smith went to Miami. We believe that the Dolphins would select Devontae Smith over the likes of maybe Jamar Chase. So Brian Flores, what he has to do now, and what I think many coaches might do in this draft, for teams that have 2 picks, they might take an offensive player first or defensive and then do the opposite with their second pick. You might see guys, I don't think we're going to see any double dipping in the first round. So teams like Miami, Baltimore, Jacksonville, guys that have multiple picks in the first round, expect them to take 1 offensive player and 1 defensive player. Just depends on the order they decide to do it in. Miami went offensive first. We believe they're going to go defensive second. With the 18th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Micah Parsons, linebacker, Penn State. Honestly, I think a lot of people would see this as a surprise if Parsons is still available with the 18th overall pick. And I will tell you this, if Micah Parsons, I take that back, if the Broncos do not select Trey Lance with the 9th overall pick like we believe they could, like we believe they should, there's a very good chance that Micah Parsons will go to Denver with the 9th overall pick. We mentioned the Broncos were in the hunt, in the mix for a linebacker. Parsons very well, to me, could be the top linebacker in this NFL draft class. An absolute freak athlete, extremely fast, 4.39 40 time. We know the Dolphins need to replace Kyle Van Noy, who made his return up to New England. Brian Flores is a defensive-minded coach, and what Parsons does that really impresses me more than anybody is his ability to play the entire field. From side to side, up and down, he can play the entire field on defense. And they need someone like that. You might have to work on his discipline a little bit, but he's just a freak of nature. He didn't even play in 2020, and yet his 2019 stats were 109 tackles, 5 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. This, to me, is a perfect fit for a defensive-minded coach in Brian Flores. The physical defense that he has brought down to Miami, they were just a few plays, a few games away from making the playoffs last year, guys. I believe Tua Tagovailoa gets them there this year. Flores gets them there this year. They add a speedy wide receiver to boost the offense, and they add their future leader on the defense in Micah Parsons. The Washington football team is now on the clock with the 19th overall pick, and man, we are slowly but surely getting through this live stream, everybody. I'll tell you what, slowly but surely working our way through. 32 teams, 32 picks, and we're on number 19. Again, I just want to reiterate, again, for all of you that are watching, I look over 27 of you guys. Want to thank you all so much for joining us. For those that are watching now, for those that will watch later, we cannot thank you all enough. Want to thank you all again for all the super chat donations. Every single bit of those goes a long way and really, really helps us produce content like this. One of the best, if not the best video we've ever produced and most fun video we've ever produced here at the Gridiron Expert. And again, none of this stuff is possible without your support. And again, I do want to reiterate for the 3rd time tonight, stick around until the end. I'm telling you, you can get your very own Gridiron Expert sweatshirt official from the Gridiron Expert shop over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. No strings attached. At the end of this live stream, we will be giving away this sweatshirt, but you have to be present to win. Have to be present to win so we can get your information and we can meet up, or not meet up, we can get your information and we can find a way to ship this out to you. Your own, again, official Gridiron Expert sweatshirt, our first ever giveaway here on the channel. So the Washington football team is up. They're on the clock. And where do they go from here? They don't really have a quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick is more than likely going to be the guy under center, although I'm sure many would love to see Taylor Heineke play after his performance against the Buccaneers in the playoffs. But was such a great feel-good story last year with Ron Rivera and his battle with cancer, overcoming that. Alex Smith, the comeback story, leading the Washington football team to the NFL playoffs. It was really an unreal season for them. Where do they go here in the NFL draft? Do they draft a quarterback that is outside of the top 5 that we've been talking about nonstop? Do they go defense? Do they go skill player? Ron Rivera has a lot of interesting decisions to make, and we have a pretty good idea of where we believe they should go. So with the 19th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Washington football team selects Elijah Vera Tucker, guard, USC. And I will say this, guys, there's a very good chance that the Washington football team could go linebacker here. There's a very good chance that Rivera could go defense and try to figure that out, even though the Washington football team was pretty dang good defensively last year, especially, again, anchored by Chase Young on the edge. But when I look at the team as a whole, they need some more protection up front. You don't have a very good quarterback one way or another, although I do love some Fitz magic. I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. But you've got to find a way to protect him. If you're not going to draft a quarterback, you might as well just go with what you've got, and you better protect Ryan Fitzpatrick or whoever's under center. And Vera Tucker is the guy that can do that. They're showing a lot of interest in him already. Rumor has it that he might be going there anyways. And when you look at Vera Tucker and what he did with the Trojans, it was evident to me that he's so versatile. He can play guard. He can play tackle. He was fantastic as left tackle in 2020. So there's a good chance they could kind of switch him around and try him at a bunch of different positions to find out what works and what's going to best benefit him and the team. But he's 6'4", 308 pounds, first team Pac-12 in 2020. What's not to love about this guy? Again, trying to come out here and anchor this Washington team. Last year, the football team selected Chase Young. They bolstered that defensive line. This year, they select Vera Tucker to bolster that offensive line. We believe that's what they're going to do, and let's see if the football team can't repeat as NFC East champions in 2021. I'm sure it'll be a little bit harder this year than it was last year. The Chicago Bears are now on the clock with the 20th overall pick in our mock draft. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump right on into this one, guys. I don't even want to explain because we all know that the Bears desperately need help in the secondary, and this might be my favorite pick of the entire draft. So, with the 20th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Chicago Bears select Greg Newsome II, cornerback, Northwestern. I love it. I absolutely love Greg Newsome II. Whoever gets this guy is going to be a steal, and he just feels like the ideal Bears player. He feels like the perfect fit out in Chicago. Not to mention, he wouldn't even have to travel that far from Northwestern to Chicago. I mean, it's basically right there in their own backyard. But he, to me, is the ideal guy for Chicago. Very similar to a Kyle Fuller like we've seen in the past. He's extremely underrated, though. He's our fourth cornerback that we've mentioned. You have Surtain, you have Horn, you have Farley, and then you've got Greg Newsome here, a guy that some people don't even have being selected till much later in the first round, maybe not even until the second. Yes, he's small, only 6 feet tall, just 192 pounds. Many compare him to Darius Slay. If he can cut down on his penalties a little bit, he'll be even more of a shutdown corner than he was during his days in college. He only allowed a 31.6% completion rate during his time with the Wildcats. He runs a 4.3840, only had one interception in his entire career, but again, that doesn't matter. Surtain wasn't racking up the interceptions. Horn wasn't racking up the interceptions. It's a matter of can they deflect the passes, can they lock onto the receiver and prevent the ball from getting there. All those three other guys can do it. Greg Newsome can do it, and maybe better than some of them. He's underrated, and the Bears are going to get a steal if he can fall this far, and I believe he will. I believe the Bears are the best fit for Newsome, no doubt in my mind. All right, moving on to 21. We are just now about 11 picks away from the end of our mock draft here with the round one. Again, the NFL draft beginning on Thursday night. The Indianapolis Colts are on the clock, and they made some big offseason moves themselves. We saw Phillip Rivers retire, got the Colts to the playoffs last year, almost took down the Bills. That was a very thrilling wild card matchup in that first round there. But Rivers retires, and everybody said, all right, well, the Colts are going to have to draft a quarterback. And we were like, guys, we got like 4 months. There's a lot of stuff that can happen as wild quarterback carousel in free agency and trades and everything like that. And that's exactly what happened. The Colts got Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was let go from Philadelphia, and the Colts said, you know what, we're going to scoop you right up to reunite you with Frank Reich, who, if you can recall, was the offensive coordinator with the Eagles, worked with Carson Wentz for years during his time out in Philadelphia. But Carson Wentz, many have their doubts. Is he going to be good enough? Can he stay healthy? That's really the million-dollar question. To stay healthy, you need a line to protect you, kind of going all the way back to what we talked about with the Bengals in protecting Joe Burrow. So with the 21st overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Tevin Jenkins, offensive lineman, Oklahoma State. There's also a very good chance here, guys, that the Colts could go for an edge rusher if they really, really want to. But if I'm Frank Reich and I look at Carson Wentz, I look at everything he went through in Philadelphia, I'm not wanting a repeat of that. I want to do everything I can to make him happy and protect him because I believe Wentz has a lot left in him. He's a dang good quarterback if you give him the time in the pocket to make the plays. They've got to bolster up the offensive line to do just that. But Jenkins, many say he's overrated. I don't see it. 6'6", 310 pounds, perfect size for an NFL caliber offensive lineman. He was an all Big 12 first team selection. He's a great offensive lineman when it comes to finishing plays. We kind of mentioned that earlier with Christian Darrisaw in the sense that he wasn't bad at it, but you got to play until the whistle. Jenkins does a phenomenal job of doing that. Jenkins just isn't as mobile as some of these other offensive linemen that we've discussed and that we've seen throughout the draft. He's 23 years old, prefers to play right tackle, but again, he's so versatile he can play just about anywhere. It'll be interesting to see where Frank Wright chooses to line him up in Indianapolis. But regardless, Carson Wentz gets a little bit of help, and Jenkins heads out from Oklahoma, heads east a little bit, northeast a little bit, to Indianapolis. Tennessee Titans are now on the clock, sticking in the AFC South. I love how we have a couple of back-to-back teams here from the same division. Sometimes some rivals are up against each other. Always makes draft day a little bit more fun because sometimes you see teams that just jump one spot ahead of their rival to pick someone that we knew they were going to draft. And we saw the Eagles do that a few years ago to the Cowboys. It's not uncommon to see teams do that. I mean, it's a very, very brutal game on draft night, guys. The whole draft weekend, really. But the Tennessee Titans are now on the clock. They need some help themselves. Will they go wide receiver to give Ryan Tannehill that boost? We know how dominant they have been on the ground with Derrick Henry. Or will they address some gaping holes and gaping needs on the defensive side of the ball? We believe they do just that. With the 22nd overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Asante Samuel Jr., cornerback, Florida State. Now, the million-dollar question here, guys, is do you believe that Asante Samuel Jr. is a first-rounder? Many don't think he is. Many think he should be a second-round pick, maybe even a third-round pick. I beg to differ here. I look at Tennessee and I think, all right, look, the longer we wait, the more cornerbacks are going to get taken off the board. That's a hole that they need to fill. I mean, look at who else they have. They don't have anybody. Christian Fulton, Janoris Jenkins, those are their top two. Why not add some extra depth there on the cornerback depth chart, especially when you know you have a couple capable wide receivers and that you can add more in the second or third rounds. Not to mention, Samuel comes from a football family. He's the son of Asante Samuel, the two-time Super Bowl champion, was a brilliant, unbelievable lockdown corner. He takes after his father. Played extremely well at Florida State, 31 tackles, 3 interceptions, and 6 pass breakups before opting out in 2020. Imagine what he could have done had he not opted out. Imagine what he could have done in a full season. This guy could be a steal of the draft, guys. I know many don't think so. I know a lot of people think he's being selected too early here at 22, but I think Tennessee sees something that a lot of people don't, and they maybe get a big steal at the cornerback position, drafting Asante Samuel Jr., who hopefully will pan out just as great as his father was. All right, the New York Jets are back on the clock. It's been a while since we talked about Robert Saleh and his team up in New York. They had the 2nd overall pick and selected Zach Wilson. And again, anything less than that, anything different from that on Thursday night would be a complete shock, not just to Jets fans, but to everyone. And Jets fans, I'm sorry, you've been through enough. You've been through a lot. You deserve a good draft. You deserve a franchise quarterback. You haven't had one since Joe Namath. Hopefully Zach Wilson will be the guy for you. But we saw a lot of teams so far that have had 2 picks, or we mentioned there are a handful of teams in round 1 that have 2 picks. And we don't see many teams double dipping here. They're going to choose an offensive player, and they're going to choose a defensive player. Jets chose an offensive player. They chose a quarterback. We believe they go defense here. With the 23rd overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the New York Jets select Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker, Notre Dame. This is the perfect fit for Robert Saleh's defense, guys. There's no doubt about that. It was a toss-up to me for my number 1 linebacker. Was it going to be Micah Parsons from Penn State, or was it going to be Owusu-Koramoah, who is the Butkus Award winner, goes to the nation's top linebacker, first-team All-American, ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Just like Micah Parsons, he can play side to side. He can play the entire length of the field. And that's so great, but it could also pose a problem for Robert Saleh. They're going to have to rein him in a little bit. Stick to your lane. Stick to your zone. Stay disciplined out there on the gridiron because Owusu-Koramoah can do absolutely everything. 13.5 tackles for a loss in 2019 with 5.5 sacks. Had 11 tackles for a loss, 3 forced fumbles, and 1.5 sacks in 2020. Had a big scoop and score against Clemson in that first meeting in South Bend. Ended up being a pretty big difference maker in the Fighting Irish winning that game and ultimately getting to the college football playoff. Notre Dame did a great job breeding Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Brian Kelly did a fantastic job coaching this guy up, building him into the man and the player that he is. And he's going to do a great job learning from another great mind in Robert Saleh up in New York, who very well could be the leader of this New York defense within a few years. All right, the Pittsburgh Steelers are now on the clock, and this is a fun one. I think a lot of people know what the Steelers need to do. It's a matter of, is it what the Steelers want to do and what they will do? That's the million-dollar question here. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, as we know, are running out of time in terms of their another Super Bowl chase. Mike Tomlin continues to get renewed. No one really knows why. Ben Roethlisberger is nearing the end of his career. They just shipped out James Conner to Arizona, so they need help a little bit on the offensive side of the ball because the defense was their strength last year and probably will have to be their strength again this year. Who do they go with offensively? With the 24th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Najee Harris, running back, Alabama. To me, guys, this feels like an absolute no-brainer. If I'm the Steelers, how do I not go with a running back? And to me, Najee Harris is the best running back in this draft class. Yes, you could make the argument that Travis Etienne is up there too. But when I look at Najee Harris, when I look at the numbers, when I look at the film, I have to go with him over Etienne if I am Pittsburgh. I mean, this is the hurdle king, guys. Have you seen how well this guy plays? Have you seen some of the ridiculous hurdles that he's had in his career? Just go look at the film from the Notre Dame game. Absolutely unreal. Ridiculous. Unfair, really, more than anything else. And Josh, we're getting a low battery sign there. No worries. Just want to give you a heads up.
I'll let you finish your thought if you want to, and then I can do that.
I will. I will finish. Thank you. But you look at Najee Harris. With James Conner gone, Pittsburgh really doesn't have much of a true number one running back. They need help in the backfield. Harris had over 1,400 yards and 26 touchdowns in 2020, had over 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns in 2019. The one thing that Travis Etienne might hold over Harris is his ability to be productive and to catch balls out of the backfield, but that was something that Harris really showed a lot more of in 2020. Mac Jones loved dumping the ball off to Najee Harris, and Steve Sarkisian wasn't just relying on little dump screens. They were sending him deep out into the field. Some good wheel routes, some good slants across the middle. Harris' hands have improved drastically. He can be more of a threat in the passing game, and that might not be much of a bad thing, especially with Ben Roethlisberger's arm deteriorating a little bit. Not much of a deep ball as we've seen from some of these older quarterbacks. So Najee Harris heading out from Alabama, one championship city to another, now going to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who select him with the 24th overall pick. All right, we move on to 25, and we can change the camera battery now. I just wanted to, up to you. Up to you. Guys, we'll be right back. Give us a second. 25th pick coming up with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to change the camera battery, and we'll be back. 1 second. It's still fair. All right, we're back. Is that supposed to keep beeping like that? The red battery. All right, now we're back. All right, we went through like 2 different batteries, and so now we're good to go. This third time's the charm, fully charged. So we're ready to go. Thanks again, everybody, so much. Thanks for sticking around. And before we get into Jacksonville again with the 25th overall pick, again, thank you all so much for sticking around for over an hour now. Longer stream than we anticipated, but we're having too much fun, so why stop? And again, thank you all so much. I was able to go through the comments. I was able to scroll through some of the chats and just see some of the comments that we've gotten. And I can't thank you all enough for sticking around, for your support, for your analysis, offering your insight and thoughts on these draft picks. And again, the super chat donations. I can't thank you enough. DM, Steven, Sam, everybody else that has donated. Again, thank you so much. It means the world. It leaves us speechless. So thank you again. Thank you. And again, stick around to the end to see if you win our giveaway. Again, we are continuing to compiling all those names, and we will be drawing at the end of the stream. All right, let's get back to it. The full battery and a couple picks left. Let's finish strong. The Jacksonville Jaguars are back on the clock. They will get the number 1 overall pick. They will have the 25th overall pick, again, barring any trades. And we know there will be some on Thursday. We're just not going to have any tonight. The Jaguars are back on the clock. They took Trevor Lawrence with pick number 1. We knew that was going to happen. Everybody knows it's going to happen. So if we're not going to double dip here, we know the Jaguars are going to take a defensive player with number 25. Who will it be? With the 25th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Trayvon Moehrig, safety, TCU. And to me, guys, this is very similar to a Jets situation here. In the sense of getting their key quarterback that Jacksonville did. They went out, they got their hopefully franchise quarterback of the future, and now they're going to get a big-time defensive playmaker. And Urban Meyer looks at the secondary and he says, we have some gaping holes there. We need some help. Let's go after Moehrig. Let's go after Trayvon and kind of try to build something from the past. Because if you go back and look at Jacksonville from like 2017, 2016, 17, 18, the times where they were semi-good for a bit, their strength was not their quarterback game. It was more of their run game. But more than anything, it was their secondary. Their defense was unreal, of course, led by Jalen Ramsey. So that's really the key for Jacksonville now. If Urban Meyer can get themselves the franchise quarterback and build up the offense, something they really haven't had ever, and then hopefully build up a secondary, something that they kind of did back in the past, that can be something that could be a recipe for success. Not in 2021. No one's expecting Jacksonville to become immediate contenders, but 23, 24. Down the road, these picks like this, they can pay off. And you look at Moehrig guy, the Jim Thorpe Award winner, goes to the nation's top defensive back in the college ranks. Had 47 tackles, 2 interceptions, 9 pass breakups last year. He had 4 interceptions, 11 pass breakups, and 2 forced fumbles in 2019. He is arguably the top safety in the entire country, one of the top players in the secondary in the entire country. He's extremely fast and agile. The question is, for many, is he a first rounder? Is he, like Asante Samuel, a guy that deserves to be drafted in the first round? Should he dip to the second or third? We don't believe he should. There's potential here. And that's what the NFL draft is all about. It's about unseen, untapped potential. Maury Riggs got it. Jacksonville takes advantage of it. The Cleveland Browns are now on the clock, and oh man, do I love this pick. Do I love what we are dealing with out in Cleveland. First off, shout out to the Browns and the job that they did last year. I mean, getting to the playoffs, not only getting there, but annihilating the Pittsburgh Steelers in their playoff game and then giving the Chiefs one heck of a fight in that divisional round. The Browns made shockwaves recently by adding Jadeveon Clowney. They added Jadeveon Clowney to their defensive line. So you have Myles Garrett on one end, you've got Jadeveon Clowney on the other. What are they going to do now? Are they going to add a wide receiver? Are they going to add someone on offense? Or are they going to continue to bulk up that defense? I think that's exactly what they do. With the 26th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, there we go, I saw it that time, the Cleveland Browns select Azeez Ojulari, defensive end, edge rusher, what have you, University of Georgia. This is scary, guys, because I'm going to bet you that Ojulari is still on the board down at number 26. And if I'm Cleveland, I'm thinking, yeah, we've got Myles Garrett. Yeah, we've got Jadeveon Clowney. But what's one more? What's one more brilliant rusher? Because with Ojulari, Cleveland could very well have one of the best pass rushes in the entire NFL. And that's not something you could have said about them last year. They weren't that great with the pass rush. But adding Clowney and Ojulari is the key. Look, he only ran a 4.63 40. But his broad jump was a 10 feet 7 inches in the broad jump. He's 6'2", 249 pounds, and his job at Georgia was unbelievable. 12.5 tackles for a loss, 8.5 sacks with 4 forced fumbles and just 10 starts. He gives the Browns that extra element defensively because we know the secondary is not too shabby. We know the offense is set with Baker Mayfield and Chubb and Kareem Hunt and Jarvis Landry and Odell and so forth and so on. The defense is what needs help, especially up front. Ojulari is a guy that can split the gap, can hit the gap, and pressure that quarterback nonstop. If I'm in the AFC North, if I'm facing the Cleveland Browns this year, I'm a little bit scared to face that defense because the Browns were not a one-hit wonder. I think they're going to be a perennial playoff team for at least the next few years. The dog days, literal dog days of Cleveland football are over. The Baltimore Ravens are now on the clock, and they're going to get 2 picks very close to one another. They get 27 here, and they get 31 shortly after that, after a recent trade with the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get to that in a second, but let's talk about their first pick. What do the Ravens need more than anything? They need help up front on the defensive line, and they definitely need help at the wide receiver position to give Lamar Jackson some sort of weapon, to give him some sort of help. So the million-dollar question now is, which one do the Ravens do first? Let's find out. With the 27th overall pick and the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Gregory Rousseau, defensive end, Miami. Another guy, again, to come right off that edge. You're starting to see a lot more edge rushers coming off the board now in our mock draft. Kwity Paye started it, and then that kind of just spearheaded it. Everybody else coming right off the board after that. Rousseau covers that defensive line need for the Ravens. Covers it, sets it up. He's an absolute beast. He didn't even play in 2020, and yet he's still going to be a first-round pick. That's how scary this guy is. 6'7", 253 pounds. So first off, I don't want to line up against him. And then you look at the numbers. In 2019 alone, Gregory Rousseau had 15.5 sacks. In 2019 alone, Gregory Rousseau had 15.5 sacks. Those are unreal numbers, guys. That's why he's going to be a first-round pick right now. It's because of what he did in 2019, because of the potential that he has, because of the size. He gives me that stereotypical Ravens player, a guy that is just hard-nosed, plays that hard-nosed, physical, bully style of football, and it gives that Ravens a huge pass rush, something that they have lost in recent years, something that they definitely haven't had last year, automatically gives them an instant boost right up there on the edge. And something that they're going to need to do certainly when you look at the teams like the Browns, who are improving. The Steelers' rush is certainly improving. Bengals, maybe not so much, but we're not expecting the Bengals to contend anytime soon. The Steelers and the Browns and the Ravens are all contending for a division crown, and they all are going to have very dangerous pass rushes if some of these draft picks go to plan. The New Orleans Saints have been waiting patiently on the clock at number 28. Their pick's in. They're anxious. They're ready to go. Drew Brees is gone. He's retired, and we hated to see it. We hated to see him go. One of the best to ever play the game. Not just a great quarterback, but an absolute great person. Absolute great person. Really, the NFL is going to miss him as a whole. NFL was better with Drew Brees in the league. But it is a business. You have to move on quickly. And it looks like right now Sean Payton and the Saints are going to go with Jameis Winston as their quarterback. Good call. Very good call. Do not go with Taysom Hill. He is not your starting quarterback. He is a skill player. So Jameis Winston will be the quarterback for the Saints as of right now going into 2021. The Saints are going to have to give him weapons. The defense is usually relatively solid under Sean Payton. They might address those needs later on in the draft. But right now, with a set of very solid wide receivers and the Saints knowing they're not going to have a selection until later on in the second and third rounds, they've got to address that wide receiver need now. So with the 28th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the New Orleans Saints select Terrace Marshall Jr., wide receiver, LSU. Here's the thing, guys. When I say you need a wide receiver, I know what you're thinking. What do you mean the Saints need a wide receiver? They have Michael Thomas. That's it. That's all they have. And Michael Thomas was battling injuries last year and really hasn't done that great as of late. When you really look at it, even when he was healthy, he wasn't even putting up that great of numbers. And maybe that changes now with a younger quarterback in Jameis Winston. Maybe Michael Thomas's downfield threat kind of comes to life now, something that Drew Brees really wasn't able to do as he got older. That arm strength just wasn't there. But they've got to find a way to give someone opposite of Michael Thomas to give their offense an extra element, because we know guys like Kamara and in that backfield are going to do just fine. Terrace Marshall for LSU gives the Saints that extra element. It's extremely fast, 4.3840, sits at 6'4", and his stats last year as the primary receiver for LSU, yes, a down year for them, but a year where he didn't have to share with Jamar Chase, 731 yards and 10 touchdowns, a brilliant, dangerous red zone threat. It's going to become one of Jameis Winston's favorite target and makes other defenses, opposing defenses, focus on Marshall now more so than just all bulking up on Michael Thomas. Got to spread the field a little bit, and that's exactly what Sean Payton and the Saints are going to do. All right, we've only got 4 picks left. We are down to the 29th overall pick, where the Green Bay Packers have been on the clock for a few minutes now. And it's going to be interesting to see what Matt LaFleur and the Packers decide to do. What will they choose to do? The offense looks fine. Aaron Rodgers is still around. They were able to ink Aaron Jones to another extension. You've got Devontae Adams, a top wide receiver. I wouldn't say that the Packers need to go offense unless they want to bulk up the offensive line a little bit more. Defense seems to be the main concern. Defense is the main focus point. That was ultimately their downfall in that NFC Championship against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a game they lost on their home turf, I should add. So, with the 29th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Green Bay Packers select Tyson Campbell, cornerback, Georgia. And this is a pick that I'm sure is going to surprise a lot of people. A lot of people would say, whoa, 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 why not Eric Stokes? Don't you think that Eric Stokes, Tyson Campbell's teammate at Georgia, could go before him? And there's a very good chance that he could. One way or another, I believe the Packers need and will draft a cornerback with the 29th overall pick if they actually don't even trade up earlier to go get their guy. Maybe Greg Newsome, perhaps. Newsome sticking in the NFC North. But I look at Tyson Campbell here, guys. He's extremely fast and elusive, 4.3440. He led the team last year at Georgia with 5 pass breakups, had 2.5 tackles for a loss, also added on an interception. He's very smooth on his feet. He's agile. He sticks with those receivers. He knows when to turn around. You look at a bunch of guys now, the ball's in the air, they don't know when to turn their head and look for the ball. Campbell knows how to do that. You pair him up there with Jair Alexander, maybe replace him, or not replace Jair, but Tyson Campbell, replace Kevin King, who was the cancer in the NFC Championship game against the Bucs. That's what Green Bay needs to do. They need more help in that secondary. Kevin King, I think, is slowly on his way out. You can't judge a guy necessarily after one game, but that one game will always go down as one of the worst ever, and maybe in NFL history. And many will say he single-handedly cost the Packers a chance at a Super Bowl. They need to give some extra help there in the secondary. Campbell's the guy to do it. Matt LaFleur finally does something that makes a little bit more sense. Rather than drafting Jordan Love like he did last year, they draft a cornerback, a major area of need for the Packers. 3 picks left. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, getting down to some of these elite teams. The Buffalo Bills are on the clock with the 30th overall pick. 30th overall pick in our mock draft. Where do the Bills go from here? They were in the AFC Championship last year and started off strong against the Chiefs before they ultimately collapsed. And again, you can't. Who blames them? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are just going to wear you down like they do most teams. Not all, but most. But the Bills, I think, really need some help either at running back or on the defensive side of the ball, particularly in the front 7. So, which one do they go with here? And whichever one they don't do here, they certainly will address in the second round. With the 30th overall pick in the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Zaven Collins, defensive end, Tulsa. More than anything, they need an edge rusher, guys. If you want to just focus defensively, the Bills need an edge rusher, and Zaven Collins is a freak of nature. It actually might be surprising if Collins falls this far down to 30. It would very good chance that he goes a little bit higher than that, maybe above Parsons, maybe even above Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. You look at the numbers, guys. He's 6'5", 259 pounds, can play anywhere on the field. He reminds me a lot of Isaiah Simmons, who was drafted by the Cardinals just last year out of Clemson. Great player, so versatile, can play anywhere you want him to be. You're seeing a common trend here, really, when it comes down to these defensive players we've talked about, especially in Micah Parsons and Owusu-Koramoah, in the sense they are a sideline player. Collins is no exception. He won the Nagurski Award. He won the Bednarik Award as the best defender in the country. Not just the conference or a position, best defender in the country. He was a first-team All-American, the American Athletic Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He had 11.5 tackles for a loss, 4 sacks, 4 interceptions, and 2 pick sixes last year for the Tulsa Golden Hurricane. He's a freak of nature, and I'm glad he's getting the attention he deserves. Sometimes guys from these smaller schools don't get the attention, but he has been continuously on the rise on these draft boards. His stock continues to rise. Would not expect anything to change on Thursday night. He will be a first-round draft pick, and the Bills are getting a steal. Teams like the Patriots and guys like that need to be worried in the AFC East. All right, moving on to our final 2 picks. The Baltimore Ravens are back on the clock. They haven't had to wait too long. They had pick number 27, and just earlier, a few days ago, traded with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Baltimore Ravens traded out, gave the Chiefs Orlando Brown, an offensive lineman that the Chiefs desperately needed. If you watched the Super Bowl, you knew that. And now the Ravens get 2 picks, very close to each other, 27 and now 31. We mentioned earlier that the Ravens selected a defensive player. We don't believe they go defense again. Either on offense, they replace their offensive lineman in Orlando Brown, or maybe they give Lamar Jackson someone to work with. He needs a few more weapons. We believe they do just that. With the 31st overall pick and the 2021 Gridiron Expert Mock Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Kadarius Toney, wide receiver out of Florida. Now again, I know we've mentioned a few players here tonight where you're going to be like, really? You really think they're going to go there? Are you sure they're a first-round talent? Kadarius Toney, his stock continues to rise. He could be a top 20 talent, guys. But Ravens might not even be lucky enough to get him at 31. But this guy, again, to me, fits the Ravens mold. With the offense that the Ravens are trying to run, Toney is perfect for that. Yes, he is not the tallest. Yes, he is not the biggest downfield threat, but he's fast, 4.3940. He's extremely elusive. He's so dangerous. He's the type of guy, kind of like Devontae Smith. Swing it out to him on the left or the right, little bubble screen. He's going to shed some tackles and take what should be a 2-3 yard gain and turn it into 30. That's what Kadarius Toney is going to do. And with the RPO offense that we're seeing so much of now, it should be mentioned that Kadarius Toney had 161 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown last year with Florida. Would not be surprised at all to see the Ravens pull him out of the backfield a few times and mess with some people with Lamar Jackson, knowing his dual threat ability. Kadarius Toney, to me, gives them the extra element offensively, something that we saw kind of take a step back in 2020. We saw that offense from the Ravens take a step back in 2020. Lamar Jackson now gets an extra threat in the passing game, and maybe it kind of expands the RPO offense just a little bit. Toney's a steal. Whoever gets him, I feel like the Ravens are a very perfect fit for him. All right. Wow, what a night, guys. It is already 9:34. Over an hour and a half. Whew. Didn't think I'll go on that long. Just time flies when you're having fun. Right, Josh?
Yeah.
And our last pick of the night, guys. The reigning champions, the Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do they need, really? Right now, they're just adding on to what is already a stacked team. All 22 starters from last year's Super Bowl winning team will return for Tampa Bay. So now they're just bringing in depth to learn from a bunch of champions. With the 32nd overall pick and rounding out the first round of the Gridiron Expert mock draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Christian Barmore, defensive tackle, Alabama. Look, he's going from one championship winning team to another. Again, the Bucs return all 22 starters from last year, but when you look at Barmore, he's a guy that is really going to boost the Buccaneers in the trenches. They don't need much help on offense unless you want to give Brady some more protection. They don't need much help in the back seven. It's really, to me, up in the trenches where the games are won. So why not add some extra depth there? A 6'4", 310-pound defensive lineman, the national championship MVP, let's add, Barmore was the national championship MVP, could help you out a long way and be a guy that can help you down the road, maybe to win another Super Bowl. Had 9.5 tackles for a loss, 8 sacks, 3 forced fumbles in 2020. People say that his draft stock is declining, it's dipping. I don't see why. Very similar to Justin Fields. Some of that stuff makes no sense to me. Some of me also wonders if it's a smoke screen. But Barmore is going to be an excellent piece. He might not do much in 2021 because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. With the Buccaneers bringing so much talent back, you might not see much of Barmore. But he's going to learn from a lot of great players on that defensive side of the ball. He's going to learn from Bruce Arians. He's going to learn, even though they're on separate sides of the ball, from a championship winning quarterback, the greatest to ever play the game, and Tom Brady, going from one championship team to another, one championship culture to another. The Buccaneers select Barmore with the 32nd overall pick. And guys, that, my friends, is the Gridiron Expert 2021 NFL mock draft. Again, granted, we're not going to do all 7 rounds. Good Lord, that would take forever. It would be exhausting, and I would have to pay Josh my entire life savings to create something as fantastic as done. Again, if you haven't applauded him already, again, unbelievable job, Josh. Seriously, we cannot thank you enough for all the hard work that you've put into this and the job that you have done creating something that's really been surreal, guys. We genuinely hope you have enjoyed this as much as we have. I genuinely do, because this has been unbelievable. An ESPN caliber production, getting to sit here and do a mock draft with all of you guys. And I can't wait to go back later and read through the chat and get some of your thoughts and opinions, and something I'm sure we'll talk more about as we approach draft day. But I know why all of you are here. I know why all of you are here at the end of the stream, and you want to know who won, right? You want to know who won our giveaway. Who is walking away with, let me pull it back up here again. Who is walking away with this brand new Gridiron Expert sweatshirt? Of course, we'll ship it to you via the... All right, that's right. Josh did make a good point. If this person is no longer in the chat, we will draw a different winner. So we're going to announce our winner. If you are the winner, please leave a comment in the chat so we know you're still here. And then we will ask you to DM us on Instagram or Twitter and let us know if if we can kind of get your information to send you our sweatshirt. So,
1 second.
Josh is to give me the hold up sign. 1 second.
Apparently, people are saying the stream crashed. I just want to make sure it's okay before we continue. It's good for me.
Oh, the stream may crash. I had no idea.
I'm just waiting to see comments saying it's okay.
Okay. Not a problem. It looks like people are saying it's back.
Okay, we can continue then.
Okay. All right. So, we're ready to continue. Again, if this person is in the chat, please just let us know that you're still here, and then you can DM us on Instagram or Twitter, and we'll get all your information. But tonight's winner of the first ever Gridiron Expert giveaway is S4 Mikey. S4 Mikey, you are the winner of the first ever Gridiron Expert giveaway. Right here, just to show that we're not lying.
Hold it back.
Excuse me.
There you go.
That's why I don't run cameras. S4 Mikey, you are tonight's winner. Let us know if you were in the chat with us.
Yeah,
He commented, LOL. LOL. Congratulations, Mikey. If you are obviously still with us, DM us on Instagram or Twitter at GridironExpert. Twitter preferably. We use that one probably a little bit more often. But DM us over there at GridironExpert, and we will get your information, and we will ship you out your very own Gridiron Expert sweatshirt. So congratulations. Thank you for sticking around. And for everybody else, again, thank you all so much for joining us. We genuinely hope you enjoy this really legitimate production, I would say. This has been the first ever Gridiron Expert mock draft. We've done top 10 picks in the past. Never have we done all 32 teams. Never have we done anything like this. But I can promise you this will not be the last time we go all out like this. So again, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for your support. Have a great rest of the night. And we will see you all later this week with more content right here on the Gridiron Expert. Good night, everybody.